Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tony from our Homestead Skills. Well, I'm obviously back in my Canadian home, and I am just once again just getting accustomed to the routine here, which is definitely a whole lot different than in my southern home. Now, I definitely am looking at my pantry to see what needs to be discarded, replenished. I definitely suggest that with what's going on in the world, and I won't elaborate, I mean, everyone knows, they can see the news for themselves. My opinion is no more valid than anyone else's when it comes to what's going on. The reality is it's well above my pay grade, and I don't have all the information. All I have is personal opinions, just like everyone else. So, you know, some people might have more informed opinions than what I do, but all in all, the only thing I can do is react. I don't have control over what's going on. So the best thing I can do is look at my pantry, see what needs to be done. And yes, there are things in there that I probably want to discard. I actually threw away a small amount of walnuts that probably have been around for about 3 years, and I probably have to get rid of the larger amount. You know, walnuts are something I don't eat that much, but I do buy them on occasion. My favorite are pecans, obviously. I make a lot of pecan waffles, and yeah, it's and I'm still making waffles here, and I realized I don't have pecans, so I'm going to have to go out and get some. Now, there are things that I need to establish down south as well. I need to establish a pantry, and part of my going back in July, I mean, Mark wants to go for Independence Day, and it's not the first time that he's taken a trip down south for Independence Day. But this year is special, so he wants to go down for that. And personally, you know, although that's wonderful and all of that, my personal reasons for wanting to go that time of year is to harvest. And that would be to harvest my figs. They should be all ripe and ready by then, at least quite a majority of them should be ready on the main fig tree. I'm wondering if the secondary fig tree will produce this year. When we arrived last year, half of it was fallen over and down on the ground, so I had Mark trim it substantially, and it was growing new shoots by the time I left. But I had also taken a whole bunch of small cuttings. Now, I don't expect much from them, but we'll see what happens. You know, none of them are really planted in the ground. They're all in pots of one size or another. Okay, so yeah, part of my reasons for wanting to go that time of year, I mean, if I could be there all year round, it would be a whole lot easier. But that's not the case, so we have to kind of pick and choose and decide what time of year we want to spend down there. So I also want to process more tomatoes. I was down to about 7 jars, and I wasn't happy with the tomato sauce that I got last year. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of time, so I purchased them. They weren't ripe enough. I processed them anyway. It did work, but it's not the same. It does not have the same flavor as when you're processing a ripe tomato. So this year, first thing that we'll do is I'll probably get 75 to 100 pounds of tomatoes, and I will allow them to ripen. So I'll get them right away when we arrive there. Hopefully they will be ready, harvested at that point. I believe they will. And or as soon as I can get them from the farms. And then I will allow them to ripen before I actually process them. So that should make a big difference. And with that, I will probably be taking down quite a few of my pint jars from here. I have an overabundance of pint jars in Canada, more than I could ever fill. I went crazy a few years and bought just about every mason jar I can get my hands on. So at least 2 to 4 cases of jars will be going down with me. I can't see buying them down there when I have more than what I need here. Once again, part of the reason for taking a car down there and driving. So yes, I do want to establish a pantry, and that's going to be kind of strange since I don't have a kitchen. I have a sink on a frame that Mark built for me so he could get at the back wall and do the plumbing, like he's done some of the plumbing there, and repair some of the back wall issues that we've had. And so, yes, it's still on this frame. And I think when we get back down there, the hope is that we can at least put a top row of cabinets in. The bottom row is going to be a little bit trickier because we have to do a floor first. So we'll see what happens. But meanwhile, my focus should be on a pantry. I want to establish a pantry there as well as here. And as I said, with what is going on in the world today, I feel that that's just as imperative. Now, I don't think things are going to get ugly. I think that things are just changing. They're just changing so rapidly. But there's always the potential for very serious conflicts and serious repercussions from those conflicts. So having some sort of a backup, whether it's in this country or my Alabama home, I think is imperative for me. So that is going to be first on my agenda. And based on that, when I was at Costco, I spotted, let me just see if I have it here. I spotted a new vegetable chopper. Yeah, a new vegetable chopper. And this one seemed to have all kinds of little cutting things. So with that, I thought I'd, do things like, okay, so while I was at Costco, I spotted an inexpensive vegetable chopper slicer. I think this one was like $18. And the one that I had to cut my little, it was basically a onion chopper, but I used it for just about everything. I used it for potatoes, and the one mistake I made was using it for carrots, and carrots were too hard, and it did destroy some of the blades in that unit, but that's okay. I still used it anyway. But then when I spotted this for $18, it was, the one unit that I had cost more than that, and it was just simply one cutter, where this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 different cutting attachments. But I'll primarily use it for things like chopping, I suppose. And based on that and this little unit, this little tool, I'll probably start to do some more freeze-dried foods here, which will last a whole lot longer than 6 months. I will, obviously, I'm into canning, and obviously I'm going to do some chicken stock. Actually, I did some chicken stock for Mark before we left, and I reminded him that there's some in the corner. And we still have, I guess, what would be considered Alabama winter here. It is still cold. It is still around the freezing mark, and we were just getting used to lovely 80-degree weather down south. Not that it was every day, but we certainly had 70, 80 degrees there, and then it would plunge down to about 50, but back up to 70 or 80, and here we're nowhere near that. We won't see anything like that for a couple of months yet. So we're still in the throes of the end of winter, the beginning of spring, I guess, and we're still going to get a little bit of snow, but nothing like what I would have had to deal with had I lived here throughout the winter. So it's all good. I keep an eye on my property. I do have a neighbor that's keeping an eye on it as well. He offered to do so, and the day before we left, we stopped into his, well, he's right next door to me. stopped into his place and suggested that since he offered, and if he was willing to just let us know if things like a tree fell on the property, if he would inform us, that would be wonderful. We have cameras set up. I can see what's going on at all times, but we also told him, yeah, nobody's ever really come around or, you know, unless we actually had somebody over to do a particular job or something. Other than that, nobody just stopped by for no reason at all. So it really shouldn't have been an issue. We have enough cameras. We have enough security there. So yeah, but it was still nice that he offered, and we decided to take him up on that offer. So if a tree falls on the house, we can jump in the car and go down there and deal with it. Hopefully it doesn't, but we have crazy weather all over the place. So, and speaking of that, I hope that everyone has weathered the last storm that we had without too much difficulty. I know that they come and go, lots of tornadoes, lots of, you know, lots of weather-related issues. Certainly you don't have to deal with snow there, but that doesn't, you know, Michigan, I understand, had a pretty ugly snowfall, and I think pretty much the weather's been pretty strange all over this year, so hopefully everyone has survived it without too much difficulty. Anyway, my main focus is Pantry, and perhaps we'll be able to do some more videos showing what I actually do in the pantry. So that's it for now. Wanted to touch base, say hello. Everything's fine. I'm trying to fall back into my old routine, which is kind of strange. Oh, no, yes, I had to get a haircut because, well, for a number of reasons. I do have to renew my passport. And although I didn't dolly myself up at all, I just cut my hair to make sure that it was respectable, I guess. Since that passport will be valid for 10 years, I decided to choose a 10-year one just because of the, it's more cost effective. So with that in mind, I have done that. I have taken the picture that I needed to take, and I have processed an application for a new passport, and it should be in my hands within a month. So meanwhile, between now and then, I can't travel. Yeah, so hopefully nothing will happen at my home in the next month. Anyway, this is Tony from our Homestead Skills, and we'll talk to you real soon. Bye for now.